What up, guys? James from Bolt Bros here. Let's talk about the over and under for wins for each game, kind of what it looks like for a record that the betting odds on DraftKings are telling us, kind of what our chances are for a Super Bowl, conference championship, division win, all that kind of stuff. So let's just go ahead and get into it, and we'll talk a little bit more about what the season could be based upon the betting odds. So let's get into it. Bolt Bros, let's go.
Bolt Bros.
All right, guys. Appreciate all the love and support. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you've not. We appreciate all the love and support. We are very, very much looking forward to be able to hear from your thoughts on what we're going to show you guys for this season. It's among us, by the way. This 2025 season is real close. We are getting football this month, boys, and it starts with a game. The Chargers are in against the Lions for the Hall of Fame game, July 31st. Thursday night football, guys. So once again, we're have 4 preseason games this year, and it starts out in Canton, Ohio in the Hall of Fame game. So very cool to be able to see. Obviously, Antonio Gates Hall of Fame enshrinement will be happening that same week. Very cool to be able to see the Chargers getting out there and to be able to have a extra game to be able to see some of our young talent out on the field. So I'm looking forward to that. But once again, we are in the month where football is back. NFL football is back. Let's just go. Let's get it. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Also, training camp's coming up here in just a couple weeks, guys. So exciting times right now. I always feel like July is football month, and that is absolutely true for the NFL season. So get out there, enjoy some training camp leading up to the first game on July 31st. Now, speaking of the Hall of Famer, just throwing it out there too, since we're about that subject. Also, Hitman Rodney Harrison is going to the Chargers Hall of Fame. He will be enshrined to the Chargers Hall of Fame October 23rd versus the Vikings. So if you're at that game, that's going to be a big thing for you to be able to witness that. And it's awesome to be able to see Hitman getting his love and be able to be in the Chargers Hall of Fame. Well overdue, and definitely an exciting one at that, to be able to be at that game just to witness it. So great to see. But moving on to the subject in front of us, let's talk about some of the betting odds that I'm seeing out there. And once again, these might be very early at this point, but we have a good idea of where teams are at this point. So these are kind of the over-unders, plus-minus type situation. Obviously, you have a plus in front of it. It's a harder obtainable goal. If you have a minus in front of the number, you basically have the chance to basically win that game or get that kind of over and under for winning a conference or AFC championship. To do it right now, guys. It's kind of interesting just to look at the Chargers odds this year for Super Bowl conference. Plus 2,800 is what they're seeing right now for the Super Bowl. It's definitely a long shot, but a good bet if it does go through. Conference at plus 1,300, division plus 310. I think that's pretty fair because it's a very tight division all around. There is a lot of things and changing with, say, the Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, and the Raiders. It's going to be a pretty competitive division all around. But once again, it starts a lot with the first 3 games for the Chargers. They win those first 3 games, which are all division games. That's huge for this team. Huge for this team. And then to say over and under 9.5 wins is kind of what they're looking at, what they have been betting on quite a bit. There's a good positivity. We're going over that. And also the per game over and unders really tell you a different story here, guys. So I think it's really cool to be able to see that. And there is a pretty fair amount of people saying they'll go under 9 wins. I think that would be a catastrophe if that happens for the Chargers. And I definitely think that they have a great chance to go over 9.5 wins this year. So once again, betting odds say it's in their favor that they will go over 9.5 wins this year. So exciting times. So to move on to the per game over and under. So every single game for the Chargers, starting with the Chiefs. Here we go. So they got us at a +3. So they have us losing at a +3 at this point. So they're putting us at that Sao Paulo game. Pretty standard, kind of plus minus over and under for us. Generally, we're not favored versus the Chiefs. We always have very tight games. +3 seems a little bit broader. I do think that might be shrink down just a little bit more as the games get closer to that, because obviously things happen throughout the year and everything too in the offseason. but I think that's pretty fair. One score kind of game, I think, is a totally possibility there. But I do think that there's a good chance the Chargers can find a way to win that one. So just throwing that out there as what they're showing odds wise right now. They're basically saying that, hey, the Chargers will lose basically week 1. Now, week 2 against the Raiders in Vegas. All right, -3. Looks like the Chargers are favored in that one. So it would be 1-1 coming out of week 2. Obviously, after a long road trip, obviously you have a little bit of a bye week going into this one too. So you got a lot of days to get prepped up, ready to go, get your mind right for that one for Raider week for week 2. So they would put us at 1-1. Week 3 at home. Chargers are favored -1.5. So we are favored to beat the Broncos. And I was thinking that week 3, 1.5 points would kind of be where week 1 was at against the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a tougher game and a closer game there too. Mind you, I'd still put it at a plus 1.5 for week 1 versus the Chiefs. But week 3, we will be at that game for sure. I am excited about that. Bolt Bros will be there. We're excited about that one for sure. And it's going to be a big game. And once again, these first 3 games are all division games. You win these games, you're going to have a great chance to basically find a way to win the division. So even getting out of there 2-1 is pretty good, but you got to find a way to beat the Chiefs. So that's a big, big way and goal this year for the Chargers. So Chargers are favored, against the Broncos at -1.5. So that would be great. 2-1 coming out of that. Now moving on to week 4 at the Giants in New York. So back on the road, we are favored 3.5 points to get that win. So we'd be 3-1 at that point. Looking good, boys. Looking good. Week 5 versus the Commanders. I think this is an interesting one. So this is at home versus the Commanders, saying that we're 1.5 point favorites in this one. I think this is a pretty good stat line, what I was expecting to be where the Chiefs are at. I'm kind of interested why they did actually put us as a positive on that one to basically win this one, because Commanders are a pretty good team all around. They have a lot of weapons all throughout. Terry McLaurin, you got Deebo Samuel, they even got Austin Eckler coming back to us too. They have a very good team all around. So they are saying the Chargers are going to win that one. Hey, we win that. We're at 4-1 now, boys, at going into week 6. Chargers at Dolphins, going back to the East Coast. My gosh, saying that we're going to beat the Dolphins 1.5 point favorites. That would be great. 5-1, boys, coming after that. And then you go to the Colts, week 7. This is going to be back at home. Looks like it's going to be a big win for us. I mean, they got obviously a lot of things that the Colts got to figure out still with the quarterback situation. Is Anthony Richardson your guy? Is it going to be Daniel Dimes is going to be your guy? There's a lot of uncertainty who's going to be that quarterback on that team. So once again, Shane Steichen's an absolute stud head coach. I think he's a fantastic offensive coordinator. But once again, when you have a shakiness situation of a quarterback situation, it becomes a little bit more tougher to be able to put points on the board. So saying the Chargers will run away with this one with a pretty big win, at least a 6-point favorite to win that one at home. So once again, we're going to be looking pretty good at this point, guys. Only one loss in the first 7 weeks, which would basically put us at 6-1. Now, Vikings at home, back-to-back home games here at this point. Looks like they're saying the Vikings will lose this one. Chargers are favored -3 at this point, so it looks like they will win that one too. So 7-1 coming after that one. I think it's interesting with the Vikings because J.J. McCarthy is the guy there. It's a little bit of change there. Kevin O'Connell's a very good head coach, very good offensive coordinator. I think the last couple Vikings games that we played pretty tight with them too. So I do expect a pretty close one for this one all around here too. So Chargers win that one. We're 7-1 at that point. Now, Chargers at Titans. This one throws me off a little bit because it's saying 4.5 point, loss essentially for the Chargers. So they're saying that we're going to lose against the Titans. And I don't understand that one. And the only thing I could think about is there some sort of, shift with the Cam Ward pickup? Do they feel like they have that many more weapons at that point that they're actually going to beat the Chargers? Now, I will go back to last year. I remember going over the over and unders and everything too. They were stating that, I think it was week 5 against Arizona Cardinals or whatnot. They actually had the Cardinals favored in that game. And I thought that was a little bit of BS in my opinion. But I think what it really is that they're saying the Chargers have had a lot of travel in the first 8 weeks of the season. And they're going into a bye week. So they're anticipating them to run kind of slow going back on the road after a bye week. So I think that might be kind of one of those stumble type games those hiccup type games, kind of getting back in the motion of things. I think that's quite a bit of an overstatement at 4.5. I assume this will shift at some point too down the road, but give or take, only 2 losses by week 9. That is pretty huge for you. So you'd be at 7-2 at that point for the Chargers. Moving on to the next game. Chargers versus Steelers being at negative 4.5. So they're actually favoring that. I assume this is going to change due to the Aaron Rodgers acquisition and the Jonah Smith. Is it Jonah? Jano Smith? Anyways, the tight end they got from Miami. The loss of Micah Fitzpatrick and then adding Jalen Ramsey. I assume this is going to be a much smaller number, but this is going to be at home. Steelers are obviously travel very well. Fans travel very well. Mike Tomlin's a fantastic coach, but is Aaron Rodgers going to be that guy? Now, they still even have current reports that the Steelers are actually slated to not really have a winning record this year. I think they're only favored in like 6 games this year, which I don't know if there are a lot of people very high on Aaron Rodgers being the 41-year-old quarterback. So once again, looking at this too, Chargers would basically be at 8-2 at this point, which would be massive for the team at week 10. Now, Jaguars at Jaguars going out to Jacksonville. Chargers are slated to win that 1.5 points. Going to Duval. We'll see. It could be a pretty tight game all around, but once again, it's a lot of East Coast back to the West Coast travel for these guys. It could really wear on you at this point, but based upon these numbers here, we would end up being a 9-2 team at week 11. Now, it's interesting because this states that it's got a bye week on week 12, but if I'm looking at it, maybe it's actually the longer week with the Titan game, because the way I'm looking at it, it's October 23rd is our Viking game, and then it goes November 2nd. So it seems like there's a longer gap there too. I think it's a Saturday night or Monday night game versus the Vikings. So maybe they're just kind of saying a lot of like things are more bye week. So let me go back on that. We don't have a bye week between the Titans, but there is a bye week that's going to happen later in the year. So maybe it's going to kind of throw things off a little bit, which is leading into this game after the Jaguars versus the Raiders. So this would be at home. Chargers look like they're going to have a big win, 6.5 points there too. So that would be a pretty big win all around. Sweeping the Raiders this year would be awesome too. Always want to see that, guys. Family, trust, respect, always, guys. So that would put us at 10-2 at that point, which would be fantastic. And then we go and play Eagles at home, 2.5 point loss, or at least the spread at this point. Eagles basically would end up winning this one. I think that's a pretty fair assessment of my point. Eagles are going to be a very good team this year. They're going to have Saquon Barkley out there doing their thing. Good defense. They did get a lot of loss on the defensive line, but I think they're going to do a very good job of possibly getting their way back to the Super Bowl this year. So basically put us at 10-3 at this point. And then Chiefs at week 15. Chargers will look at a loss on this at 4.5 points at Chiefs. Obviously, late year type situation, cold weather. It's going to be tough for you. This back end of the schedule is going to be the brutal one for the Chargers. This is the one that they're going to have to figure things out and find a way to beat some of these good teams, steal a couple of these wins if they want a shot at the division. So in this game would be one of those that you want to go out there and win. You can't go 0-2 and expect to take the division if you lose 2 times to the Chiefs. So once again, this would put us at about 10-4 at this time. And going to week 16, Cowboys at Cowboys. So Chargers are favored at 1.5 points at this point. So it looks like they will win in Dallas. Obviously, Dallas kind of got a new head coach. Schottenheimer, honestly, Brian Schottenheimer. Pretty interesting to be able to see how he does there as a first-time head coach guy that's been floating out there for a long period of time as an offensive coordinator. Dak Prescott, can he be that guy? Do they have enough talent on defense and offense? We'll see where they're at. I mean, they've been kind of one of those teams that have been floating around, not doing a whole heck of a lot. So once again, this would put us at a 11-3 for us, I believe. 11-3, 11-4, excuse me, I think, at this point. And then Texans are saying that we're favored against the Texans week 17 at home. That's another great win for us. A great kind of get back at them again since we lost to them in the playoffs. This would put us at 12-4. And then it's saying at week 18, we would end up losing to the Broncos, 2.5 point loss, going to obviously a colder weather situation in January, but probably leading right into the playoffs. So this would put us at a 12-5 record. It would put us above of what we were expected this year. And also it would actually outdo what we did the year prior. So bottom line, I think it would be a great, great win all around for the Chargers if this actually comes through. So once again, this is what the betting lines are saying. Is it going to happen? Are we going to go 12-5 at this point? I'd like to be able to hear from you guys in the comments below. Do we go 12-5? Does it seem pretty accurate with the teams that are over and under for points for each game? What do you think? Do you think 12-5 would be good enough for us to win the division? I think we got to win at least one versus the Chiefs and sweep basically the Broncos and Raiders would definitely be a huge, huge advantage for us. But what's your guys' thoughts? I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Once again, appreciate all the love and support, guys. Can't wait for football, guys. It's coming up soon. Like this video, subscribe to this channel if you've not. And once again, James from Bolt Bros. Let's go.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast. Let's go.
Charged up, Bolt Bros on the night. LA Thunder and electric delight. Bolts in the battle, sparking bright. Charged up, ride the lightning, feel the fright.